Hey everyone, welcome back to Citywide Blackout, your home for music, movies, and more. I'm your host, Max Bowen. My guest for the show is originally from the UK and now living in Italy. Singer-songwriter Sabrina Maria talks about her new album, Life is a Journey, Not a Destination. We talk about her own journey as a musician, from her days gigging, and how she's evolved to where she is now. This album takes the listener on a journey of positivity and hope, with upbeat, motivating songs. And Sabrina talks about the stories behind them. It's 6 p.m. where she is. It's noon where I am. I'm talking to Sabrina Maria, singer-songwriter. Welcome to the show, Sabrina.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's beautiful. Actually, I'm in Italy. I am from the UK. Yeah, but I'm in Italy at the moment. So,
cool.
yeah. It was 28 degrees today. It's 6 p.m. and it's still really, really sunny and hot. So, and because I am from England, I'm struggling with the heat because we're not used to this sort of
right,
heat.
Yeah. What brought you to Italy?
Tuscany.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, near Pisa. I'm in between Pisa and Florence, and it's beautiful. It's really beautiful, but it's been a tough time for us here, to be honest. So
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
sure you've seen it.
Sure, I know. Italy was just shut completely down. I know that everyone is just chilling at home for now. How is it right now? Do things seem to be getting a little better there?
They are. Since Monday, they're allowing us now to sort of travel within our region. So it's great because the reason I moved out here in the first place because I've got more family out here. So my family's in Florence, which is in my region. So I'm going to go and visit them soon in the next few days. So yeah, it's good. It's still strict with the social distancing and things like that. But we're allowed to go for exercise now. We weren't allowed to go out whatsoever unless it was just for food shopping or emergencies. That's all we could do for 2 months.
Wow.
So yeah, that's why you see all the I don't know, Facebook memes and everything of everybody's singing on their balconies because they just couldn't go out. So, and the Italians are very social people. So it's been a tough time, but at least now we can go out and go for a walk and do stuff like that. Yeah.
It's crazy how some folks complain about this. Where I live, I can go for a walk whenever I want to. I can go for a walk. I can go for a drive. If I had a bike, I could go ride it. I have very few restrictions other than everything being closed down. But other than that, I'm sort of free to kind of come and go. So it's interesting to kind of see the comparison to think about how much I have compared to some folks.
I know, and that's the thing, and I think the Italians have been very, very graceful. They're starting to kick off a bit now, because it's been a long time. It's been nearly 10 weeks, but they've been so graceful. And then, you get other countries that have had a lot more freedom than what we've had, and they're just... Anyway, let's not go there, eh?
Exactly. Let's talk about happier things. Let's talk about your new album, which was a recent release, your second one. It's called Life's a Journey, Not a Destination, something I very much agree with. Now, this was your second one that you released. I'm curious as to what you kind of learned from doing a previous album, Blank Canvas, that kind of applied to this one.
The way it all came about is just I never expected to release two albums, to be honest. It's just that after my mother's death back in 2016, some people you need an outlet or they'll go and have counselling, and that doesn't work for me. So, I'd sort of written a few songs before then, but it was more of a hobby. And a lot happened when I lost my mother. I'd also left a job. That's a long story, but and I had a relationship breakup, and so I felt, I was all alone. So how did I cope? I put pen to paper and I started writing, and I picked up my guitar, and before I knew it, I'd written 10 songs, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've got enough songs here for an album release, which is what I did in March 2017 with Blank Canvas, and it went down a storm. I have to be honest. The publicity I got for it, the praise and stuff, it was just lovely. And then I carried on writing, really. And the next album was a lot harder. I think your second album is always harder anyway. It's not just that, it was trying to find, it's money, it costs money as well. So it was expensive. So I had to do it a lot slower. And it took 3 years to release my next album, which is Life is a Journey, Not a Destination. So yeah, that was released in March 2020. But I've had great, to be honest, releasing this album was the wrong timing, but I'd promoted it as March 2020. I've not had as much promotion with it at the moment. It's something that hopefully I can redo, once all this craziness. Everybody's just concerned with COVID at the moment, to be honest. So it's not a time to be sort of self-seeking, if you know what I mean, to try and promote my album. Although I do feel my album would help people.
Well, I think we all could use some distractions right now. And whether that's through music or reading or movies or what have you, whatever works, do that. Because I think if you stay too focused on what's going on, you can go crazy with everything. Yeah. I also want to say I'm really sorry to hear about your mom. I also lost my mom that same year, so I know a lot about what it's like to kind of go through this. Did music kind of help you to kind of work through that pain?
Oh my gosh, 100%. If I didn't have that, I don't know what would have happened, because especially Blank Canvas, it's a very raw, very, very raw. It's about a lot of pain. I think it was 6 years previously to Mum. And there's another long story there about his illness. And so there was still a lot of pain I was carrying with that, but I couldn't really grieve much for my dad because I was looking after my very sick mother, who was very poorly for 7 years. I think after my mum's death, everything just hit me. And the only way, I tried to go to a counsellor. I'm not good with counsellors. I try and outsmart them. So, I just thought, the best way I was finding it was just to write about how I felt, and it was the best therapy for me, to be honest. And of course, I'm still getting through stuff. But if I do have a particularly down day, I just pick up my pen and paper again and just put it down, and that's the sort of music that it's about life experiences, and that's why I consider myself, and that's how my brand is empowering country rock music, because there's always a message in my songs. There's always a message of hope, because I believe myself to be a very strong person, and if I can help myself, then I like to write my songs in a way that will help others. So just listen to the majority of my songs have meaning and a message, so I'd just recommend you listen out for the lyrics.
So prior to making Blank Canvas, you had only done like a few songs. You're still kind of like new to the whole music thing?
I've always been a singer. Been a singer ever since I was a young girl. At school, I always used to get the leading roles. I did amateur dramatics. I got the leading roles in there because I could sing. Yeah, literally, I only started writing about 10 years ago. I think I did about 2 or 3 songs, and then life takes over. My dad was poorly, my mother was poorly, so I didn't really progress my gift. And plus, I thought I'm not good enough. I'm as you do, it's just a hobby. I'm too old anyway now. I can't do anything. But you know what I've learned? You're never too old to follow your dreams or whatever. It doesn't matter how old. I think the world is going to change a lot anyway after this COVID-19, and we're going to enter a different world. And my message to everybody is that if you love writing, or if you got a gift, you love drawing, painting, follow it, and you're never too old. And in a way, I was so blessed that I had that to turn to, because as I said, I think I would have gone into a very deep depression had I not.
I talk to a lot of folks who go through similar things, and they always say that music is what helped them to kind of get through it, because that's how they express themselves. It's like I said, they don't really feel comfortable talking to a therapist. It's not really their thing. No. I want to talk about the stories in your new album. What are some of the subjects you touch on in the new release?
The first song on my album, Go Out There and Get It, that really it's about following your dream. It's about what I've just said. I do it in a stance where it's a boy who wants to ask a girl out, but he's too shy. He thinks she's going to look him back. And then I sort of say, well, don't you think she might feel the same? So, and then he does ask her out, and it's happily ever after, basically. But it's just the go out there and get it, follow what your heart's desire. And I just wanted to do a song, because I'm very much like that. I'm a risk taker, and people can't believe it. I moved to Italy last May, and I made the decision and moved within 5 months. I am dual nationality, so that's why I can do it. My parents were Italian. But people say, no, but what about this? What about that? I says, I'll deal with it. Once I've done it, I'll deal with it. And I have a very strong faith as well. That helps me, because I kept saying, God will lead. I'm just going to do it. And it's the best decision I've ever made. So too many times in life, we just are in an ahhing, oh, shall I, shan't? Oh, I'll put it off for another day. And then we don't do it. And, life is about living. not regret. So that's what that song is about. And then there's another song called I'm Begging You Please. That is about when you're at the depths of despair. I think I wrote that shortly after as well. That's one of the songs I wrote shortly after my mother died. And it was just like, help me, God. I'm begging you, please, just help me. Believe it or not, this is not a Christian album. It's, it's my personal experience. So some of them have got a Christian element to them. Other songs are about are fun. And so that's what that song was about. And we all need a little loving. That close to my heart. You don't know what's going on inside them. You're not perfect. So instead of, trying to win the fight all about the time, how about just trying to see other person's point of view? We all need a little loving, we all a bit of understanding. That's what that song's about. There's 10 songs on the album, so I could be here all night explaining.
There's a lot of stories there.
There's a lot of stories, and there's a little bit of broken as well. I think it's a very slow one, that one. I tend to have ones. I had a slow one on my first album, Blank Canvas, and this is the slow one on this album. It's a little bit of broken, about how we all have that little bit of brokenness, and we look at others, envy their lives, and that's what I say in the song. If you look a little deeper, you'll see the stitches in their lives. So that, I think, is one of my favorite songs on the album.
Now, living in Italy, prior to all this, did you have the chance to get out there and experience like the music scene out there?
Well, that's one of the things. I lived in Folkestone in Kent, and believe it or not, that's why in the end I decided to move to Italy, because I'm affected by the weather. That's one thing I suffer is SAD. And where I lived in Folkestone, Kent, the weather was lovely. It was quite European, because we were right by France. So where the main music scene is up north, in the UK, and for the country scene, there is some down south. The bigger scenes are up north, and it's raining there all the time. And I just thought, I can't do this. I can't move. And trying to find a band that was country sounding, it was just impossible. So I used my backing tracks, and I used to go around locally to do the pubs, things like that with my music. But that's not really what I wanted. So that was a time in my life where what do I do? Do I stay and pursue my music career in a sense of going out gigging and things like that? But to be honest, at my age, and I'm going to be honest, I'm 48, so that's not what I want to do. It's what I enjoy doing is writing, recording, interacting with people on my Facebook page. And you know what? A lot more people hear my music that way anyway. So if the demand was to come, of course, I'd get a band together, I'm sure. But at the moment, there's so much competition out there. It's not cheap. Trying to get everybody as well in a band. I've been in a band before, and trying to get everybody together to try and rehearse, it's not easy. So I just wanted it more to be a joy rather than a hindrance. So that was my decision in the end, and why I thought, well, actually, I can do this. I can be social with my music online, even in Italy. Doesn't matter where I am. But other than, like I said before, that I used to do a lot of I used to gigs in my early 20s. I used to do, like I said, amateur dramatics, sang a lot then. So I've always been musically involved, which is nice.
I never knew that England had a country scene.
It's called British country. Oh. It's really, really growing there now. It's been around for about, I'd say, 10 years. It's been slowly growing. Every year at the O2 Arena in London, and I used to go every year. It's called Country to Country Festival, and all the big country artists from America come to the UK for 3 days, because there's one in the O2, one in Scotland, and one in Ireland, I believe, and they rotate. So one night they'll be doing it in London, the next night they'll go to Scotland, and we've had all sorts of big artists coming over. Carrie Underwood, Little Big Town, also, all the big country stars, Miranda Lambert. It's great. And there's quite a few UK British artists as well. The Shires are quite big in the UK. And Ward Thomas, I don't know if you've heard of them, the Shires and Ward Thomas, but they're UK British artists that have made it there.
What about what would you say is the biggest difference between like the American country scene and like in like the British styles?
Well, the accent.
Well, yeah,
you can't meet real American. Can't meet the real American country accent in a country song. And what I really find annoying is when British try to do the American accent in their songs. I just think, don't. You know, it's British country music for a reason. That's what I don't like. It's just so fake. The styles are pretty similar. I'd say the same sort of types of music, but it's like I said, just the accents are. You can tell when it's a Brit singing and an American.
I would say it would sound just as bad if you had an American trying to do the British accent in their music. It would sound just as fake.
Yeah, it would. Exactly. So you get my drift, don't you?
I get you. Yeah. Hey, you try and fake it almost never works.
Yeah, it doesn't. And people laugh at it. So they just do themselves injustice. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. And I'm a big believer in that.
Mm-hmm. Did it take you some time to kind of find your identity as an artist, whether that's your style or the kinds of music you want to do?
To be honest, not really, because I've always written this sort of, and it was more country style that I wrote because of the raw, real lyrics and the way I wrote my songs. I always felt it had more of a country feel, but I call it country rock because it has got more of a rock feel to, the sound to it. So no, I pretty much knew straight away it was, because I've always been a country lover anyway. So I pretty much knew straight away.
Well, that's what's nice too, is you can always just change things. If you decide that you want to try something else, you can do that. You can try a different style. You can totally jump genres if you want to. I mean, Lord knows I've seen so many bands do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I think for now, I mean, if I start co-writing, which is something I want to do, and let's see, I'm in touch with a couple of, songwriters, so because all my songs are self-penned. So I just see what, who I click with and what type of music. Music's just so diverse, and it doesn't really matter in the genre as long as it's got meaning and a lovely tune, I think. So sometimes it's hard to define what genre it is, to be honest.
Especially because artists tend to borrow a bit from different genres. They don't just stick to one specific thing forever. Try and get them to say, okay, what's your style? They often say, well, it's really 4 or 5 different things. It's not just one particular thing.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you used to gig back in the day. What would you say has changed a lot when it comes to live music from back when you used to go out and play?
I'm going to be honest about the UK live music scene. I think it's the way the culture has changed. Then it was just so much fun, so much going into a pub and singing back in the day towards now. It's completely different. The atmosphere of the people. I'm sorry to say, it's a lot darker today. There's a lot of. There was, when I did some recently, backing tracks. Towards the end of the evening, there's fights breaking out, and I'm just like, oh, this is not what I want. Do you know what I mean? Whereas back in the day, it was more fun, more joy. People were happier. It's completely different than what it was 20 odd years ago, to be honest.
Any of the same venues that you used to play at before are any of them still around?
Oh gosh, yes, they are.
Nice.
Many of them, but I haven't. Definitely, they're all been taken over and redone and done up and stuff like that. But yeah, they still are.
What was your favorite place to play?
I remember once doing a gig in a sort of club. It was like a conservative club. I like to do bigger gigs, if you know what I mean. I love being on a stage. That's the performer in me. The pubs in England, I don't know if you've ever been to England, but they're pretty small and it's intimate and it's nice. I prefer more of a stage and being able to perform that way. And I did a few gigs like that.
I asked that question because here in Boston, we've had such turnover as of late with old places have been around for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, just closing down for good, getting new places opening up. And the question is going to become, okay, when are we going to get shows happening again?
Exactly. I know. Exactly. I know. And that's a question everywhere, I think, some entertainment.
We need that so badly.
We do, honestly. And just to be able to socialize again. I think there's going to be one massive big party when we can do that.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Once we can start having shows again, you're going to see these things getting sold out left and right, and not just the big ones.
Yeah, I think so too.
But also the small local bands too are going to see a lot of huge crowds because people are just going to be so eager for that companionship again.
Yeah. Well, I've also been out here at a restaurant, local restaurant of mine. They know I'm a singer-songwriter and what I do. And, they've asked me to open the restaurant singing.
Ooh.
So I'll probably, Yeah, so I'll probably do that when when we're ready to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice because it's all outdoors and it's lovely.
Nice, nice. So, what are your plans for the near future? I mean, I know that everything's kind of in flux right now, but will you be promoting the album really heavily, or is that sort of taking a back seat just in the midst of everything happening?
In the midst of everything happening, I'm going to be honest, I've not concentrated on it. I just think it's not a time to be self-seeking. I'm just very, do you know what it is? I'll be honest with you, Max. I find it very difficult to self-promote anyway. It's so hard, look at, and there's some of them that to find it so easy. They'll do all these selfies and these little trout pout mouths and stuff like that. Photos. I can't, I'm just not like that. I'm just not like that. So what I tend to do, right, is I like to have a mailing list, I'll do some ads on Facebook and I give a couple of free songs away and I get people on my mailing list and I'll keep in touch with them that way. But I think going forward, when this lockdown is down, I will be contacting more radio stations. I've not done much like that right now, to be honest. It's I think a lot of people have backed off, especially on my Twitter account. There's normally loads of people promoting themselves, and that's all stopped. It's really, it's quite sad, to be honest. So I think we're all feeling it.
I also love that you describe it as a trout face because over here we call it a duck face, and it's like, which of this is worse?
We call it trout pout.
That's very accurate. That's very accurate, though. Actually, it's pretty good. and now I'm never going to be able to get that out of my head. It's perfect. That's perfect. Have you been doing any writing?
Yes, I have. I've written a few songs. I'm finding it hard because when I moved over after Mum died, I was writing quite constantly, to be honest. And then when I made the decision to move, I was writing up until about April last year. I'd written quite a few songs, and actually a few of them are on this album. Then I moved over here, and to adjust and everything like that, I didn't write anything. I didn't do anything until last month. I picked up the guitar again and I wrote a couple of songs. So I need to kick myself up the butt. I do. But I'm just not one for making songs out of nothing. It has to have real meaning with me. So, yeah, nothing's touched me. I know I should do really about the COVID, but when the time is right, I know it'll just flow. So, because if I just sit there trying to write, it really doesn't.
You can't force it.
No. And to be honest, I've already got about 5 songs for my next album. So, and I'm actually thinking about releasing an EP. But at the end of the day, it's money again. You just got to take each day as it comes now and see.
Well, Sabrina, thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate this. But where do folks go to learn more about you and to get your music?
Right. Well, if they go to my website, that's the best place to start. And there's links to my my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram. It's basically sabrinamariamusic.co.uk.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
Hi, this is singer Kate Eppers, and you're listening to Citywide Blackout.
All right, folks, that's the end of the show. Be sure to catch me on Facebook under Citywide Blackout and Twitter and Instagram under Citywide Max. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and every Saturday at 10 p.m. on Boston Free Radio. Before we go, I've got a song from Sabrina's new album called Go Out There and Get It. As always, keep those ears open.
Your feet are stuck to the ground.